In this lecture, we are going to see about some theorems, important theorems, Euler theorem and Fermat's theorem. So we will start with Fermat's theorem. Both the theorems are playing very important role in public key cryptography. Public key cryptography is otherwise called as asymmetric key cryptography. So the Fermat theorem is nothing but or states as follows: if p is a prime number and a is a positive integer, then that positive integer is not divisible by the prime number. If p is a prime number and a is a positive integer, that integer is not divided by that particular prime number, then it can be rewrite as a power p minus 1 congruent relationship 1 mod p. So in that equation, p is a p is a prime number, mod is modular arithmetic operation, and a is a positive integer. It is not divisible by p prime number. So let us see this is the theorem, and let us see the proof. So consider all the elements to be presented in ZP. Z is the combination of elements and P is the prime numbers. So ZP is a set of integers which can vary from 0, 1 and up to P minus 1. We are taking P minus 1 because it is not divisible by A, and which are multiplied by the modular arithmetic operation. And so the result of ZP in sequence 1, 2 and P minus 1. So let us take the equation. We are going to take the number p minus 1 numbers, and we are taking multiplication operation with all other zp numbers, and added with the multiplication with particular element a. So the number can be rewrite as a mod p, and then 2a mod p, and 3a mod p, and p minus 1 a mod p. It is just the indication of the numbers 1, 0, 1, 2, up to p minus 1. So multiply the numbers in both sets, and take the result modular arithmetic p yields. So in the left hand side, we will write it as multiplied by a for the set of integers in zp in the left hand side. So it can be rewrite as a into 2a into up to p minus 1 a congruent relationship. In the right hand side, the same zp set of integers, but in that integers we have to multiply the modular arithmetic operation and also a value. So the result is a mod p into 2a mod p up to p minus 1 a mod p, and finally we are applying the modular arithmetic operation for the whole set of integers. So in the second step, we can simply take it out the a and mod value in the outside. So we can simply write 1 into 2 into p minus 1, the outer side mod p. So the outer value is a which can be written as a common value here. So and 1 into 2 into up to p minus 1, it is equal to the factorial value of p minus 1 factorial. So this statement will be rewrite as p minus 1 factorial mod p, but we have to know one condition: a into 2p, that is not n, 2p up to p minus 1 a is equal to p minus 1 factorial, because we can easily write 1 into 2 into up to p minus 1 is equal to p minus 1 factorial, and 1 up to p minus 1, the value can be rewrite as a power p minus 1. So we are just substituting this value in the above condition of the left hand side of the above equation. So p minus 1 factorial into a power p minus 1 congruent relationship p minus 1 factorial into a power p minus 1, that is mod p. So in this statement or equation, we can simply cancel the term p minus 1 factorial. So the result is, finally the result can be obtained for the Fermat's theorem, that is a power p minus 1 congruent relationship, that is not equal, congruent relationship 1 mod p. So this is the theorem of Fermat's theorem. In this statement, p is a prime number and a is a positive integer that is not divisible by that particular prime number. So in that any example or question, they can given the value for a and p. So just you are going to apply in the above equation and getting the value of the modular arithmetic, which is the remainder of the particular value. So this is the Fermat's theorem. So the next one is Euler's theorem. Before going with the Euler's theorem, you should know what is Euler-Taussian function, because the Euler's theorems are stated as a power pi of n congruent relationship 1 mod n. So the power value is pi of n. Pi of n is nothing but Euler-Taussian function. We are already done with that. So just to recall that, Euler-Taussian function is denoted by phi of n. So if p is a prime number, then it can be written as p minus 1, that is pi of p is equal to p minus 1. And p is not a prime number, then it can be written as the product of prime numbers, that is phi of n is equal to pq and p is not equal to q. Both the prime numbers should not be equal, it should be a different number. So pi of pq is equal to pi of p into pi of q. So p, in that case p and q is a prime number, so we can write the above formula p minus 1 and q minus 1. So this is Euler-Taussian function and this is the expansion of the above p minus 1 and q minus 1. So this is also the same example problem. We can easily find for pi of 37. So 37 is a prime number. So we can write 37 prime number in the sense phi of p is equal to p minus 1, that is 37 minus 1, 36. So phi of 37, the answer is 36. So the last one is phi of 35. Here 35 is not a prime number. So we can write 35 is the multiplication of two prime numbers, that is 7 into 5, 35, because 7 is one prime number and 5 is the another prime number. So 7 into 5. So 7 in the sense 7 minus 1, 6, and 5 minus 1, 4. So 6 into 4, that is 24 prime numbers you have to write. And also what are the 24 numbers are there, which are the smaller than the number of 35. So we have to write all the prime numbers less than 35 and which is also relatively prime that to the particular above number, right? So this is the Euler-Taussian function. So this is the Euler's theorem. It states that a power phi of n is equal to 1 mod n. So before going with this theorem, you should know what is pi of n. That's why in this previous slide we saw about what is Euler-Taussian function. So here a and n are relatively prime. A is a prime number and n is a prime number, and it should be relatively prime number. So let us see the proof concept. This is the Euler theorem and this is the proof concept. So here the above equation is true only if and only if the number n is prime, because pi of n is equal to n minus 1 and it holds the Fermat's theorem. However, it also holds for any integer n, phi of n is relatively prime to n. It is labeled as or capital R is equal to x1, x2 up to x pi of n. What is the meaning of this statement? In the sense, here R is the one of the statement which hold all set of positive integers, and also here pi of n, that is relatively prime to each and every element in the set capital R. So here we multiply each element by a mod n. In the above equation we are going to multiply a mod n for each and every element, right? Because a and n are two elements that both are relatively prime. So in the above positive integers we are going to multiply a mod n for each and every term. So the first term x1 is multiplied by a mod n, so we are getting a x1 mod n. So the second term x2, it is multiplied by a mod n, so we are getting a x2 mod n. And the last one is x pi of n, so we are multiplying by a mod n, so ax phi of n mod n. So this equation is multiplied by a mod n, so we are getting s is equal to ax1 mod n, comma ax2 mod n and ax phi of n mod n, right? So in the below part, this is the proof concept. So in the first step we are taking the summation concept because in each and every term of s the value vary from 1 up to several times. So we are taking the summation formula, that is phi of I is equal to 1 up to phi of n, and taking the common value axi mod n, because in each and every term the x value only changed. The common value is a mod n and x value is getting changed from 1 to pi of n. So we are taking the value pi and I value is changed from I to phi of n, and we are writing a xi mod n. So it can be rewrite as pi of I is equal to 1 pi of n xi, because in the above equation we are multiplied each and every term by a mod n, so we are neglecting a mod n, and also we are we are converting the value a into the left hand side. So the left hand side value is getting phi of I is equal to 1 to pi of an axi. The modular arithmetic is multiplied with the right hand side. So the right hand side xi mod n. Here we are going to apply the phi of n value to a. So the a value is getting to the outside of the pi summation value. So a power phi of n pi I is equal to 1 up to phi of n. The remaining value is present as xi. The right hand side value is the same one. So in this step we are going to cancel the term pi I is equal to 1 up to pi of n xi. So in the left hand side we are getting a power phi of n congruent relationship. In the right hand side we are getting mod n because it is the cancel term. So the answer is 1. So this is the Euler theorem, that is a power pi of n congruent relationship 1 mod n. So this is the concept of Euler theorem. The main point in Euler theorem is Euler-Taussian function pi of n, and here a and n are relatively prime number. So these are the sum of the formulas. Here you have to find out Euler-Taussian function phi of 29, phi of 32, phi of 80, phi of 100 and phi of 101. So you have to write these problems and you have to tell the answer. So before finding the function you have to check whether the given number is prime or not. If the number is prime you have to follow the rule 2. If the number is not prime you have to go with the third rule. If the number is in the power function then we will deal with the fourth rule.